Master life's challenges by avoiding these 8 common pitfalls. Guided by Stoic principles. Imagine this: you're standing at the edge of a cliff, with the sun setting behind you. Below lies an ocean that stretches endlessly, its waves crashing with a thunderous roar. The world feels vast and uncontrollable, and you're just a speck, a fragile being at the mercy of forces far greater than yourself. And yet, what if I told you that the key to mastering your life lies not in conquering those waves, but in mastering your own mind? This is where Stoicism steps in, a philosophy not of resignation but of resilience, not of passive acceptance but of active mastery over life's inevitable challenges. It's ancient wisdom refined for modern chaos. And today, we'll delve deep into the 8 common pitfalls that derail our lives and how Stoicism equips us to avoid them. Let me set the stage with a real story. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, sitting in his war tent, surrounded by chaos. Soldiers are shouting, enemies are advancing, and the weight of an empire rests on his shoulders. Yet, there he is, writing in his journal, reflecting on this simple truth. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now, consider yourself in a similar scenario, not in a war tent, but in your daily life. You're facing deadlines, arguments, financial pressures, and the constant buzz of notifications. The chaos feels overwhelming. But Stoicism teaches us that while we can't control what happens outside, we can control how we respond within. So let's begin this journey by identifying the first pitfall: losing control over what you can't control. Pitfall 1: the illusion of control. How often do you worry about things that are beyond your influence? Think about the last time you lost sleep over someone else's actions, a decision that wasn't yours to make, or an outcome you couldn't predict. Stoicism reminds us that our energy is finite, and wasting it on what lies outside our control is like trying to catch the wind with our hands. Epictetus said it best: some things are up to us, and some things are not. The Stoic challenge is this: are you focusing on the sphere of control, your thoughts, actions, and choices, or are you expending your precious energy on the uncontrollable? Pitfall 2: emotional reactivity. Now, let's talk about emotions. Picture this: you're stuck in traffic, and someone cuts you off. You feel your blood boil, your hands grip the wheel tighter, and anger consumes you. But here's the Stoic perspective: who controls your anger? Is it the driver, or is it you? Seneca reminds us that an angry person opens their mouth and shuts their mind. Anger, fear, and envy, they're not caused by events but by our interpretation of those events. A true Stoic pauses, breathes, and asks, is this worth my peace of mind? So, I ask you now, the last time you got upset, was it really worth it? Pitfall 3: fear of failure. Next, let's tackle the fear of failure. Imagine you're standing at the starting line of a race, your heart pounding with anxiety. What if you trip? What if you finish last? Stoicism flips this fear on its head by asking, what if you don't even try? Failure is not a measure of worth. It's a teacher. Marcus Aurelius writes, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every setback is an opportunity to grow, to adapt, and to prove your resilience. So, here's a challenge for you. The next time you hesitate out of fear, ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? And if it does happen, how can you use it to your advantage? Pitfall 4: chasing external validation. Let's turn to the endless pursuit of approval. We all want to be liked, admired, and validated. But how often does this chase leave you feeling hollow? The Stoics knew the futility of external validation. Epictetus reminds us, if you are ever tempted to look for outside approval, realize that you have compromised your integrity. True strength lies in aligning your actions with your values, not someone else's expectations. Take a moment to reflect. When was the last time you acted against your own principles just to gain someone's approval? At this point, you might feel a stir of discomfort. a realization that these pitfalls aren't abstract but deeply personal. That's good. Discomfort is the beginning of transformation. And now, I leave you with this question to ponder. If the measure of a good life isn't wealth, fame, or status, then what is it? Freedom in the face of chaos. The Stoic path to inner peace. Let's pick up where we left off, with the unsettling realization that many of life's challenges arise from within, not without. In this part, we'll dive deeper into the pitfalls that undermine our pursuit of inner peace and learn how Stoicism equips us to transcend them. But before we do, imagine this scenario. You're in the middle of a storm, rain pounding against your skin, wind howling in your ears. Everything around you feels out of control, chaotic, and destructive. Yet, in the midst of it, there's a calm space inside you, a sanctuary that no storm can touch. Stoicism teaches us to live from that space, unshaken by the chaos outside. Pitfall 5: Resisting change. Change is one of the only constants in life. Yet how often do we resist it? We cling to what's familiar, comfortable, and predictable. We lament the past or fear the future, wishing things could just stay the same. But as Marcus Aurelius wrote, observe how all things are constantly being transformed into something else. Change is not your enemy. It's the essence of life. The Stoic approach is to embrace change as part of the natural order, to flow with it rather than resist it. Think about it. When was the last time you resisted change, only to find later that it led to something better? What if, instead of fearing change, you welcomed it with open arms? Pitfall 6: Overattachment to material possessions. Let's turn to the modern obsession with stuff. How much of your time, energy, and peace of mind is spent chasing material possessions? A new car, a bigger house, the latest gadget. Are these things adding to your life, or are they owning you? The Stoics practiced voluntary simplicity, reminding themselves that true wealth isn't measured by what you own but by what you can live without. Seneca wisely said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." Take a moment to look around you. What possessions have you tied your happiness to? What would it feel like to let go of that attachment and realize you already have enough? Pitfall 7: Avoiding discomfort. Now, let's talk about one of the most pervasive pitfalls of our time: the avoidance of discomfort. We live in an age of convenience, food delivered to your door, entertainment at your fingertips, climate-controlled homes. But has this made us happier or merely weaker? Stoicism teaches us the value of voluntary hardship. Epictetus said, "Difficulties show what men are. By facing discomfort willingly, fasting, waking early, exercising in the cold, we train ourselves to endure life's inevitable challenges." Here's a question for you. When was the last time you intentionally stepped out of your comfort zone? What discomfort could you embrace today to strengthen your resilience for tomorrow? Pitfall 8: Living without purpose. Finally, we come to perhaps the greatest pitfall of all: drifting through life without a clear sense of purpose. How many of us wake up, go through the motions, and fall asleep, only to repeat the same cycle the next day? Without purpose, even the most comfortable life feels empty. The Stoics believed that a meaningful life is one aligned with nature and virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I am rising to do the work of a human being.'" Purpose is not found in grand gestures, but in living each moment with intention and integrity. So I ask you, what is your purpose? What drives you to get up in the morning? And how can you align your daily actions with that higher goal? As we conclude this part, let's return to the storm metaphor. The chaos outside is relentless. It will never cease. But the calm within you is always accessible. The more you practice Stoicism, the more that calm becomes your default state. And now, a final thought to ponder before we move on. If you were to strip away everything, your possessions, your relationships, your achievements, what would remain? Could that be the essence of who you truly are? The dichotomy of control, building an unshakable foundation for life, we've arrived at the core of Stoicism, the principle that forms the bedrock of resilience, peace, and purpose, the dichotomy of control. Epictetus framed it beautifully. Some things are up to us, and some things are not. In this final part, we'll explore how mastering this distinction can liberate you from unnecessary suffering and guide you to live with clarity and strength. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a fortress. Inside its walls lies everything you can control, your thoughts, actions, and choices. Outside, in the chaotic wilderness, are things beyond your grasp. Other people's opinions, random events, the passage of time. The key to a life well lived is guarding the fortress while accepting the wilderness for what it is. Let's begin by revisiting a scenario from earlier. Marcus Aurelius in his war tent. As an emperor, he wielded immense power, but even he couldn't control the outcome of every battle, the loyalty of his generals, or the whims of fate. What he could control was his own mind, and it was there he found peace. So how do we apply this in our own lives? Let's break it down step by step. Mastering the inner fortress. To master the dichotomy of control, you must first identify what lies within your sphere of influence. These are your thoughts, your decisions, and your actions. Everything else, the weather, the economy, other people's behavior, is outside your control. Here's a practical exercise. Think of a recent situation that upset you. Was it an argument, a missed opportunity, or perhaps a setback at work? Now ask yourself, was this within my control? Could I have influenced the outcome? Or was I reacting to something external? Most of the time, you'll find that the source of your distress lies outside your sphere of influence. This realization is liberating. When you stop wasting energy on what you can't control, you free yourself to focus on what you can. So, I challenge you, what would happen if you redirected your energy from trying to control the uncontrollable to mastering your own responses? Reframing adversity. Adversity is a universal experience, yet how we interpret it makes all the difference. The Stoics believed that events are neutral. It is our perception of them that gives them meaning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them." Consider this. A storm destroys your plans for a picnic. Most would call this a bad event. But what if you saw it as an opportunity, a chance to read a book, reflect, or strengthen your adaptability? The event itself hasn't changed, but your perception transforms it from a loss into a gain. Here's a deep question for you. How often do you label events as good or bad without considering the possibility of hidden opportunities? Freedom through acceptance. Acceptance is not passive resignation. It is active engagement with reality as it is. When you accept what lies beyond your control, you liberate yourself from the futile struggle against the inevitable. Imagine you're stuck in traffic. You can't control the cars ahead of you, but you can control your mindset. You can fume and curse, or you can use the time to listen to an audiobook, reflect on your day, or practice patience. This is the essence of Stoic freedom, choosing your response, no matter the circumstance. So ask yourself, what would your life look like if you fully accepted everything beyond your control? Practical steps to build your fortress. Let's bring this philosophy into your daily life with actionable steps. Daily reflection. At the end of each day, ask yourself, what was within my control today, and what wasn't? Where did I focus my energy, and how can I improve tomorrow? Negative visualization. This Stoic exercise involves imagining worst-case scenarios, not to dwell on fear, but to prepare yourself emotionally. If the worst happens, how would you respond? The pause. When faced with frustration or anger, pause. Ask, is this within my control? If not, let it go. Gratitude for control. Each morning, remind yourself of the immense power you hold over your own thoughts and actions. It's a privilege many overlook. Living the dichotomy of control. To live by the dichotomy of control is to focus on what truly matters, your character, your values, and your actions. It's about letting go of the noise and finding stillness amidst the chaos. As we conclude, let's reflect on a question that encapsulates the heart of Stoicism. If you master your mind, what else is there left to conquer? The storm outside will always rage, but within you lies a calm, unshakable fortress. Guard it well, and you will find freedom. This completes our journey through mastering life's challenges with Stoicism. If this resonated with you, take a moment to share your thoughts because, as the Stoics believed, wisdom grows stronger when shared.